The original Armored Core is easily one of my favourite games. It combined the addictive customization of Mech and the fun arcadey action of other third-person games that aren't garbage. It's easily one of the most underrated games on the PlayStation, so after a couple of expansions, Armored Core 2 was released alongside the PS2's launch. While it's easily one of the franchise's strongest titles, it mostly just improves and fixes the more frustrating quirks instead of feeling like a fully fleshed out sequel, but it still results in a very strong Mech game. Picking up years after the first game, the Earth has significantly recovered, with a new government being established, forcing the once dominant corporations to migrate to Mars. So continues the factional deception and fighting, enlisting the help of the Ravens to deal with the competition through a variety of operations across the planet. It moves along pretty much like the first game. You undertake contracts with a specified goal and a fat paycheck that will impact the balance of power between the organizations. This means completing some missions will allow or block access to future contracts. However, the pace changes drastically with the introduction of the Earth government's attempt at taking control of Mars, enlisting the help of the Frighteners, a hardcore group of AC pilots with the simple objective of exterminating the Ravens, which includes you. The game gets a lot more intense once you have well-trained and equipped AC pilots wrecking your missions, unless you can outgun them in some really cool fights. But if you want anything done and stand a chance against the opposition, you're going to need a lot of cash to make your mech. Initially, you start with the basic equipment, a slow-firing assault rifle and flimsy armor that will be ripped to shreds if things go south. But it's not long until you've saved up enough pennies to buy some decent legs, or arms, or a better generator, maybe some new weapons, or even a few optional parts to enhance your shielding. And that's what makes it so much fun to keep playing Armored Core. That feeling of building up your mechanized soldier compels you to be efficient in contracts. After all, you are deducted cash for ammunition and repairs. Usually the expenses don't outweigh the pay, but it can definitely limit your spending options. A lot of the monetary issues are greatly alleviated by the continuation of the arena mode. It functions identical to Project Phantasma. There's numerous opponents that need a serious beatdown before reaching the top with cash prizes and special parts to be won along the way. They'll definitely test your skills as a pilot, and it works as a great alternative to the fairly vanilla contracts. Even if you get smashed, which you will, you're not actually penalised. It reminds me a lot of the trial of position missions from Mech 2. Your Armored Core controls a fair bit better than on the PS1, with analog support and remappable controls. The game does require skill when it comes to piloting a machine, but a great deal of its functionality relies on the design portion. Fiddling around with the different store items and gear is straightforward and quite manageable. Switching leg types to be able to carry that new missile rack and finding the perfect sidearm is something you'll come to terms with in no time. Unfortunately, you still can't make minor adjustments, so if you go slightly over the weight threshold, tough shit. But the variants of mechs you can actually set up are almost infinite. Slap some treads on and a cannon on the back and you've got yourself a hard-hitting tank. But it's going to be at a great disadvantage if it goes up against a slimmer AC that focuses on avoiding attacks while sniping at a distance. Of course, that's not going to do well in closer quarters with an assault mech with explosive weaponry, but outfitting yourself with optional gear that can repel material or energy-based projectiles will greatly turn the tables in your favour. This is what I love in games like Armored Core 2, their constant messing around, whether it be with your antennae or the perfect paint job for your shell. You can't help but be excited when you're buying the newest, baddest weapon on the market while nodding with approval at your enhanced doomsday machine. Now while making a mech is fun, are the levels themselves any good? Well, yeah, they're pretty fun. Missions feel a lot more balanced and offer a far greater variety in objectives with less dungeon-like stages. The usual stuff such as defense, escort, assassination, and recovery contracts are in plentiful supply, however. There are AC parts you can discover, and some operations can take numerous contracts before total completion. Getting attacked by the Frighteners is pretty intense, but they become a lot more prevalent later in the game, losing a lot of their initial surprise and fear. Unfortunately, they do repeat a lot of the same missions from prior games, like defending a train station before fighting an enemy AC. But the level geometry is a bit more varied, with some environmental effects like sandstorms. Hell, you can even explore some alien vaults while fighting bizarre enemy types. Graphically, the game does show improvements, but it definitely wasn't a showcase for the PS2's hardware. However, it has a silky smooth frame rate throughout the entire experience. It's pretty hard playing older 3D games with a choppy pace to them, but the fluidity of the gameplay holds it above similar games. Really, the most noticeable changes are fairly minor, like the voice acting and the occasional unskippable cinematic, which become pretty annoying after rewatching them for the umpteenth time. Overall, the game plays really well, and is an excellent starting point for those new to the series or needing a fun, action-packed mech game. Armored Core 2 is easy to recommend to PS2 owners and robot enthusiasts alike, or some such bullshit.